Recording. Good evening. I would like to call to order the Wyndham Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. It is 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. We are in Zoom video conferencing. Mr. Howell?
Kate Briggs,
Here.
Jenny Butler,
Here.
Janie Cummings,
Here?
Marge Gavoni,
Here.
Pete Hensler,
Here.
Anna Keeney,
Here.
Kate Levier,
Here.
Scott McLean, Christina Small,
Here.
and Molly Cochran.
Here.
Okay, we'll have Bill Hanson lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yo. My new chair sent me on a trip. Okay, Mr. Howell, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
We do not have any adjustments to the agenda tonight.
Okay, now it's time for public input. It's the opportunity for the public to comment on items not on the agenda. Any public? Okay. We have a new hand raising thing, so sometimes I don't notice. So it's time for the RSU 14 facilities update.
All right, great.
Bill.
Chris, can you help me share my screen?
I just made you co-host, so you should be able to share.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Okie dokie. Oh, wow. All right, this is gonna take a little getting used to, but I'm sure I'll get there. Okay. Just trying to get my presentation launched here. I can't remember where the button is to do that.
Are you in Google Slides, Bill?
No, I'm in PowerPoint. All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much time here if I don't. Just hold on 1 second here real quick. This 1 and 2 is something that was sharing the screen has got me a little bit. Huh. Oh, there's up. Oh, okay. All right, hold on. I'm gonna get it here, I promise. Okay. Now, can you all see? I want you to see. How do you make you say C2? Like,
I think you have to drag it over to your screen, Bill.
okay. All right. Well,
By the time Christine could get down there to
Yes.
show you what to do.
okay.
No. Okay.
She's
Can you all see what my screen is now with the slide?
No.
No.
Christine, do you want to,
Courtney will get it.
don't forget
Okay.
your mask. She's 5 seconds away, Bill.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So where's did you share your screen yet through,
I did.
can they see you? So
Hi, Scott.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
show me the Zoom again. Okay, you have to click share right there.
Okay.
Now they're gonna be able to see your screen.
There.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Why is it
Yes.
not giving me? Why is it not giving me this guy over here? Why is it putting it over here? Don't understand why I'm not getting this here. Okay. I want this to be over here. All right, well, I can,
So, Bill, you might want to clean up your desktop a little bit.
Work it from there.
I can. Can
Okay.
everybody see can you see this right now? Okay. So obviously I'm Bill Hanson. I'm the facilities director, not the technology director. I made that quite obvious, I guess. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to kind of give you an update of some of the things we've been doing really almost for the last year. It seems hard to believe it's been almost a year, but we're approaching it on that. And there's a couple of things I need to address after this, questions board members ahead that are not covered here, and we'll take care of that at the end. So the agenda that I have really here is we're going to review the impact of COVID-19, some of the changes in the building services, the building use, building operation, and remote staff. We're going to talk about COVID-19's impact on utility costs. We'll talk about some of our challenges, some of the upsides, the CRF funding accomplishments, which have been many, I'm really pleased with that, and some considerations for the go forward. So that's kind of what I have here going on for now. So first I'm going to talk about is changes in the building services, and Mike's going to talk about this.
Thanks, Bill. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year to you all. Haven't seen you since the first of the year. When putting together this presentation, we look back to, I believe Chris said it was a year ago today that everything started. And from that day, we have been bombarded with information and suggestions and referrals and promises and snake oil and everything else that will do all the best things that could possibly happen. We quickly found out that we were not in the same place as some of the districts in the area. We were far ahead in the cleaning process when we changed from the mop and bucket to the microfiber cleaning process about a year ago. For those of you who don't know it, the microfiber replaced the mop and bucket, where you took a dirty mop and you washed out 2 or 3 classrooms and spread the germs, and did the same thing with tables and everything. With the microfiber process, it's 1 cloth, 1 mop per room, and then it goes into the wash. We also work real close with our school doctors. We work close with our nursing staff. We work real close with our cleaning vendors to develop, the safe process. And we learned an awful lot about cleaning. We discovered that there are 5 levels of cleaning. Level 1 is a emergency room cleaning, cleaning process. And number 5 was my dorm room at college. Big difference. We decided that we were going to shoot for a level 2, 1.5 to 2, where that was a recommendation of our medical staff, because it was similar to the processes that were done in places like Maine Medical, Partners, and Mercy Quick Care, and that type of thing. The other thing that we, as a group, decided on is that we're going to follow the CDC guidelines as far as recommendations and cleaning, which we have. The big thing about that is more frequently disinfecting touch surfaces throughout the day, both in the classroom and the hallways and the cafeterias and that type of place. We have selected cleaning products that are recommended to reduce or eliminate the COVID virus, even though that there's nothing really out there other than Class N chemicals where you need a um, respirator and a hazmat suit to do the cleaning. So we have done that. We have um, put together a cleaning program that is done every night so that we are ensuring that every classroom and every area is clean and disinfected. We have set up a process during the day with extra staff to make sure that they hit the touch surfaces quite often during the day. We're saying a couple of times during the day, but I think in some cases it's more than that. We have also worked with transportation to assist them in the cleaning and disinfecting of the buses and the vans throughout the district. And um, we have contracted with an outside service agency, a local company called Hoods, to come in every 60 days and spray a sealant type of thing on all our surfaces, buses and everything that is supposed to not allow the viruses to adhere to the surfaces. So that is done. They recommend every 90 days. We chose to go every 45 to 60, depending on how it falls in the calendar. We also worked with the nurses on personal protection equipment to safeguard both the staff and the students. This stuff includes gloves and masks and gowns and that type of thing. We have made a strong emphasis throughout the district on hand washing and provided soap to every place where there was a sink. And we found that that was the best way to not get rid of the virus, but to protect yourself. We have put up posters and information signs in every bathroom and around every sink to wash your hands for 20 seconds. We have put alcohol-based hand sanitizers in the area that it's allowed when there's no water product available. And we have made extra emphasis on the door handles and the sink handles and, drinking fountains and that type of thing to eliminate as many touches as possible by asking some of the teachers to leave the doors open so that every kid doesn't have to handle the handle. We tried very hard to get extra staff, and we were not that successful in finding custodial staff that wanted to work. We put ads in the newspaper. We put ads in the local Wyndham Eagle. We put billboard signs up throughout the district. We worked with Bonnie Staffing and that type of thing. We had a couple of bites on people. I remember one nice lady who came in. She said she was all ready to go, and first day at the primary school, she says, "I think I'll get sick if I stay here, so I'm going to leave you." I said, "Okay, thank you very much." But we're trying, Bill, realign the hours of the custodians so that there could be more overlap to handle the touch surfaces. And we received a lot of PPE from the state and local vendors that was distributed throughout the schools. One of the things, Bill, on your next slide is the changes to building surfaces, services. We installed glass partitions in all the entryways with the front counters so that the staff is barricaded, so to speak, from the students and the rest of the staff, so that the germs don't go back and forth from one to the other. And we installed thousands of directional and informational signs about wearing masks, washing your hands, keeping 6 feet apart, and something else, can't think of it. But everywhere you go, there's constant reminders of the protocols from the CDC. One of the last things that I think with building use, all the buildings in the district were shut down to outside groups. Other than SAC, there was no outside groups allowed to come into the schools. There was no weekend use. There was no sports or other activities. There was no chamber singers or use of the auditoriums type of thing. So when you look at that revenue line for building use, that will probably be down this year. But we felt it was the safest way to go. Bill, back to you. Can't hear you, Bill.
There we go.
There you
On
go.
the building operations side, some changes that we made. First of all, and this is an impact on both energy and energy use as well as building condition, is the runtime for the air handling equipment has been extended both before and after school for the purposes of making sure we flush the building before and after. And it was quite frequent that we would shut the air handlers down, early in the evening and have custodians work through the building as it was coasting down. We are now running the air handlers the entire time the custodians are in the building. For the purposes is that if there are things that are brought up into the air as the result of their cleaning, it's going to help be flushed out and removed. So that's a pretty big change in the way we run the buildings. This summer, we got the Wyndham Middle School windows were replaced. The last set was put in a couple weeks ago in the area around the music room and the human science spaces. So that's all been done. They're all new windows in the Wyndham Middle School, and many of those wouldn't even open. So that's a huge improvement. As we get into warmer weather, they'll be able to use those again. The screens were repaired at the high school. We had taken the screens off the building because it was air conditioned. We didn't feel there was a need to open the window and drive costs up. But now with the changes in COVID, we get the screens repaired and reinstalled, so that could happen. And again, a big thing that we've done across the district is we're increasing the amount of outside air we're bringing into the building. The big change with that is by providing more fresh air, we are also exhausting more air, which means we're getting more air changes per hour of fresh air into the space. And what that does is help to prevent the buildup of contamination. So that's really important. And then the final thing is air filtration improvements. The good news for Wyndham High School is that a particular building was set up from the ground up is to have very good filtration, 2-stage filtration. So it had both MERV 8 and MERV 13 filters, which is recommended by to help reduce COVID-19. We early on, believe it or not, get into ordering MERV 13 filters. It was, I think, in right around May or June, and the first set of replacements came in around September, and I just got my second order, which I put in August, just this last week. So we're in the process of converting all our filters and all of our handlers to MERV 13. What that will mean for us, and I'll be monitoring that, is it has the potential to reduce a little airflow, but I'm going to watch that. The other potential it have is that because we're filtering quite a bit better, we'll be changing them more often. So there's going to be an operational cost increase to change those more frequently, but the benefit is better filtration of the air in the buildings. We'll be providing a better indoor environment, and it helps mitigate the risk associated with COVID-19.
one of the things that we also realized with the help of Christine Hessler and Lisa Garneau is the remote staff were experiencing some difficulties with the transition from the classroom to the home with workstations and work setups. We have since provided monitors for the at-home remote staff people, as well as chairs and sit-stand desktop workstations so that they don't have to sit on the floor in front of a coffee table or sit at a kitchen table on a hard chair, make it more ergonomically feasible for them so that their quality of teaching would be higher.
So one of the questions I believe Scott asked was, how are things working for electricity? You all know we've spent quite a bit of time this last 2 years focusing on installing LED lights to reduce our consumption. And I want to say thank you for your support with that. And it's a great thing that we did that, because right now I'm telling you, I am now using more electricity to run these air handlers that much longer. So the good news is we're running slightly higher than last year. It would have been really bad if without the work we've done, we would be a lot higher than last year. So you can see right now, I don't have the data for December yet. The bill should be coming any month, but I have July, August, September, October, November, and you can see there's some ups and downs. October, looks a little bit funny, but what you think about there is I'm not cooling, I'm not heating, windows are open. Okay, so there's no AC running. So it's one of those months that you can get a sweet spot for low energy use. So that's why you see that there. So that's where that there. But as you can see, we're trending. The other months we're all trending higher. So I anticipate that happening through the remainder of the year. But again, the good news is the work we've done on conservation through the installation of LED lights is going to help us. So this is cost. And if you look at the next slide, this is the actual kilowatt hours in usage. So again, you can see our usage is higher in basically 4 out of the 5 months that are shown, and I anticipate it'll be even higher in the coming winter months. But the good news is that it would be worse if we hadn't done the work we've done ahead of time. So that's helpful. Natural gas. This was kind of a neat thing to look at, and I'm really glad that Scott, asked these questions. So if you look at natural gas, you can see it's all up year to date. Okay. You probably can say, why is the high school up so much year to date versus the others? The high school air handling system is one of the newest, most sophisticated, and I can push it the most. It has the most capability. So I have been pushing it really hard, trying to bring in as much fresh air as I possibly can within the limits of the capabilities of the equipment. That is why that is up. Okay. The other schools, middle school and primary school, not as much. And if you look at the cost per square foot, 7.5 cents in high school, looking at 3 cents middle school. Primary school, if you're aware, we're in the process of putting in 3 new systems to drive up new fresh air into that building, which will allow me to bring in more fresh air. The heating system is the limitation in that building. I can't bring in enough fresh air. That's why you're not seeing the costs up as much there, because I don't have the heating power to bring in that extra air, so it limits what I can do there. Same as the middle school, but again, we have 2 new systems going in there to really improve our outside air, so I'm excited about that. Manchester School is more in line with the high school. Again, that's a newer system being put in 2000. One of the things I thought was really cool is look at Field Allen. It's up less than a penny a square foot. And I can tell you, Field Allen is very well ventilated. And the reason why, it is the only building we have that has energy recovery. So that was really cool, is that I'm able to push that fresh air to that building really hard. I can see my CO2 levels, which is a surrogate for how you're ventilating. I can see I can keep them very low, and you can see that the cost, there's some real savings there. If we didn't have it, you can see it's quite a bit higher. So that was a dramatic learning for me, is that there in times like this, when we're going to really try to push the air changes an hour and fresh air into the building, these energy recovery systems really are going to start to really pay for themselves. So really pleased that we're putting those in the middle school and the primary school now. And I really think we need to continue that process with other buildings as we move ahead. So I didn't forget about Raymond. So Raymond's information is here. Raymond Elementary School, I'm going to tell you, it's hard for me to track kind of spontaneous usage because we have a 10,000 gallon tank up there, or actually 12,000 gallon tank. So I get these bulk loads. So it depends on what's going on. I can really tell usually at the end of the heating season because I have a longer period of time. So right now I don't see any huge changes in usage there. Jordan Small, you're probably gonna say, well, why is it less? Well, what we're seeing there is some of the advantages of our negotiations of moving to propane from number 2. Our actual BTUs are not down, they're up slightly, but because the propane is less costly, we're actually saving money. That's kind of where we're there. So, not a huge change in Raymond. I'm going to tell you that we spent a fair amount of time working on upgrading the controls at Raymond Elementary School, which is going to allow us to further improve ventilation in that building. And when that happens, I will anticipate we will see some additional costs. So end of the year, I am expecting Raymond Elementary School and Jordan Small School both to have higher fuel costs than the previous year. But because of our change in fuel in Jordan Small, let me correct that, higher fuel usage. But because of our change in fuel at Jordan Small, our costs may be similar to maybe slightly above. Raymond Elementary School, I expect it to be above, but will be within budget. So I'm not concerned about where we would be with that. So
We are constantly looking at different challenges to finish off the year and go into next year. The unknown is probably the biggest challenge as to what's going to come next and when is it going to hit type of thing. And if it is, we have challenges from looking for the availability of staff to hire to cover for things like vacation and sick and just to bring us back up to par with our regular staff. And the availability of materials is still very thin. The vendors and the suppliers are in the same boat as everybody else. They have challenges with work and people, and they don't have the inventory that they once did. So what you could probably get, last year at this time in 2 weeks, now takes you 2 months. And the other thing that we're running into is limited building access for contractors. Right now, we don't allow contractors in the building when students are there. Excuse me. And so we have probably after 3 or 4 in the afternoon and all day Friday. A lot of them don't want to work Saturdays because they're kind of burnt out. The one that I didn't put down there is that we are constantly trying to figure out this COVID virus. Everybody has told us that it is mainly spread from person to person, and it's the I hate to say the spit droplets or whatever that does it. And it's not catching it on touch surfaces. The sneezes and the coughs do more than the transmission from surfaces. We believe a lot of that. We just believe that it's lower on touch surfaces than it is through the air. We are trying to determine through various sources what the effectiveness is of the cleaning processes that we have. We are trying to figure out how you determine that. And I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but I think the thing that we're going by the most is there's no in-school transmission of the virus. It's all come from outside sources, and that everybody says that the schools are the safest place to be in. We're still looking for some way to prove that that's the case. But as long as we don't have any outbreaks and that type of thing, I think we're doing okay for now until things change. We do have, where was I? What am I on, the upside, Bill?
You are.
Upside. Everybody, the entire staff has done a fantastic job at stepping up and doing the things that have been requested of them. The teachers have done extra work in their classroom, cleaning surfaces and providing hand sanitizer and mask breaks and everything else. The custodial staff has, risen to meet the challenge of everything that we ask of them, from extra hours to extra cleaning. The vendors have been excellent at delivering the materials when we need it. And everybody in the school district seems to be working together for the benefit of the students and the staff, which is a great thing to see, and we really appreciate it.
Okay, so now we're going to go to some of our CRF accomplishments. And what you see in front of you is a picture of an installed BenQ interactive display. And what's really amazing about this device is, first of all, as you can see, it actually raises and lowers. It's down low, so littles can write on it. It replaces the projector, replaces the TV, it replaces the smart board. So it can do all those things in one device, and it has a great extended life. So unlike the projector, that the bulb seems to go every year and a half or so, this is supposed to last about 10 years of service. It requires almost no maintenance other than an occasional wipe down with a wet microfiber. So we've got 33 of these installed throughout the district. Every building or every building other than the middle school. Field Allen got all the middle school units, but every building has got units installed and they're being used. And the reviews so far from the teaching staff have been very, very strong. They're really enjoying it. And I understand that in the near future, Rebecca Miller's class is going to give Chris a tutorial on how to use one. So I'm looking forward to that, hoping to have Gary Harriman actually videotape that so you all can see that. So they're very excited about teaching the superintendent how to use the new technology. So it's going to be pretty cool.
One of the other things that we picked up through the CRF funding were outdoor pavilions. We had the installation and construction of 8 of these units throughout the district. We have what, 4 at the main campus, 3 at the main campus. We have 1 at Manchester, and we have 4 in Raymond, 2 at Jordan Small, and 2 at Raymond Elementary. The units down here are for outdoor learning, similar to the benches and everything that you saw in the fall, where teachers can bring their class out and do outside learning. These pavilions offer some shade and shelter to continue that. In the spring, we'll be putting access points in so that there will be Wi-Fi compatible. The units in Raymond, are smaller than the ones in Wyndham. The ones in Wyndham are 20 by 40 because we could put up 20 by 40s. The ones in Raymond are 20 by 28 each. Because if we had one unit that exceeded 500 square feet, we had to go through building zoning and building permitting and all that type of stuff. The good thing about this is that we got word that it was approved by the state and the federal government, and all of these were installed by the December 30th deadline. So that was good.
So this is another accomplishment that I think I've been talking about for probably about 8 years. And I'm really excited about this. We were able to construct, and I will have a map for you, hopefully in the next month or so with detailed distances, a fair amount of trail network up at RES. We utilized the old haul trails that were used for the harvest. And we spread erosion control mulch on it, which is permitted to spread in the forest without any issues with creating impervious surfaces. So there's quite a nice network of trails. We did have to get on the right, on the left, you see there's actually a bridge. It doesn't really look like a bridge. I tried to hide it. There's actually a bridge we had to get a permit by rule to put in. It's actually a concrete bridge that's used for the logging industry that goes across that stream that's there. But it had curbs on the sides of it, so we could put the ECM right across it. So it looked as if the trail just magically goes right across the stream, which is really pretty cool. I encourage anyone who has a chance to get down there and go for a walk to check it out, because it is really neat. And the plan is that we continue to work on it and to enhance this over time. Now, I have heard that there was a 4th grade class from RES that told me they went out for a short walk and they were gone for about an hour. Enjoying the trails. I'm also hopeful to have our forester come back and start marking some specimen trees so that the kids can see. He had mentioned he would do that when we did the harvest. I didn't really have a way to get the kids down to the woods, and now we do. So that's one of the things that I'll be working on later this spring, is to get some of those specimen trees marked so they can see them. Really, really neat. There's a lot of wildlife track down there too as well. So I think it's going to be a really nice resource for the school and the community to have in the future.
Some of the other accomplishments, just to highlight some of them, with the outdoor pavilions and the outdoor learning classrooms, we have expanded the depth of the school, and we found that getting nurses to a outside site, or getting students back who have either medical or other issues, having administrators get to some of these areas, or our SRO just patrolling the area to make sure that everything is safe. We were able to purchase two gators that the access for the nurses and the administrators and law enforcement can use. We also purchased additional radios so that we could increase communications with more teachers and staff outside. We wanted to make sure that they were in constant contact just in case of any type of emergency. And we installed additional access point cards so that teachers and staff can use the doors closest to the areas, so they didn't have to spend the time walking around to get into the building. With the staffing issues that we had in trying to obtain staff, we were able to purchase new floor machines that we feel cuts the time used by the custodians for doing long stretches like hallways and gymnasium and cafeterias for cleaning, so that they could spend that time cleaning in the classroom area. So it was kind of a swap, and this was all provided by the CR funding.
So one of the things that we got installed and completed this fall was We were able to put in touchless water faucets throughout the district, which what that really means is that kiddos can wash their hands without touching the knobs as they were there before. It also was an opportunity for us really to update a lot of fixtures that were quite old. When you consider that our newest building would have been 2005, and some were quite a bit older than that, we were able to go through our sinks that our students are using and upgrade all our faucets to the latest and greatest. So it was quite an undertaking by the plumbing contractor, but I was really pleased that that occurred. We did have the kiddos test them out, and they worked well. So it was a nice nice improvement. Other work that we have in progress. Again, I think you're aware, and I'd like to send you pictures later on, but we're nearing the end of the installation of the air handler system for the middle school cafeteria and STEM spaces. I'm hoping that we'll get those up and running around February break. It's a lot of work, but the challenge to the schedule has been working Fridays, 1 day a week, and a little bit in the evenings, but usually by the time kids are out by 3 o'clock, there's not a lot of evening time unless we push a second shift, which again, a lot of contractors right now are challenged with getting people to work too, so they're not pushing those envelopes. We have on site all our new touchless water bottle fillers and water fountains. I'm working with our plumbing contractor to get those installed. I wish we were further ahead than we are now. And I also understand right now that I'm not the only customer of the plumbing contractor. Unfortunately, everybody is demanding their time. So we are waiting in line patiently, and I'm pushing and prodding as best I can. I'm going to try to get that work completed by the end of the February break. I won't promise you that right now, but we're going to do the very best we can. I'm very excited about that because, again, this updates our water bottle coolers and fillers, many of which, a few in the middle school, were brand new in 1977. So this is a great opportunity to really update our infrastructure and to provide some equity all the way across, because in some cases there were water coolers that weren't chilled, were not. So this is going to provide that water bottle fillers and chilled water for all of the schools. So excited about that. Continue to work on upgrading our filtration. Again, the filter delivery has been a challenge because everybody wants them, quite frankly. So we're getting there, and it's not as simple as just taking in and just changing the filter. You need to look at the loading of the motor. I can look at the actual airflow. So it's a little bit of work to do that. So we'll be continuing to roll that out as time goes on. And the last thing here, I got a little typo here. Get rid of that. Improvement of building controls and automation. One of the things we started 2 years ago was getting to one building control platform. Previously we had Siemens and Raymond and main controls down here in Wyndham. We've gone to all main controls, upgrading their platforms. And as we're doing this, we're finding opportunities to improve our operation, both from an efficiency standpoint, but also improve ventilation. So the improving ventilation has become the hot button and the focus, because it is, again, one of the key factors. Asher Ray talks about improving building ventilation, bringing in more fresh air, and improved filtration as being key components. That, when combined with wearing face masks, really provides significant reduction in the potential exposure to COVID-19. So we're doing things that also, you think long-term, better fresh air, better filtration long-term provides a better building environment. So it's a great long-term position to be in. So that's really where we focused all of our efforts. I know there's a lot of different solutions that are out there that we haven't investigated, that some folks have pushed on us. I really feel that long-term, this is really the best direction to go in, and that it will provide us a long-standing and lasting improvement to all the buildings. Okay. So looking forward, one of the things that, again, I've learned through this is that as we look forward to either new buildings or retrofits to existing air handlers, we really need to consider the energy recovery and improved filtration for any mechanical system we replace. It's really going to be huge. And as you saw in the example from Field Allen, that energy recovery really reduced that building's increase in ventilation tremendously. So, in the past, under normal operation, the energy recovery was a nice to have thing. When we had the situations where we're trying to push the envelope with fresh air, I think it's going to become a must to have thing and something that we should really consider. One of the things that I've learned is that we need to consider future changes in building operation based on seasonal medical concerns. Never thought about that before. It's kind of interesting, you know. One of the things we're seeing right now is the mask wearing and what have you, is that the flu cases are down. You know, traditionally we would run a building the same way in the spring, summer, and fall. I based it on a ventilation rate and occupancy, and that's how we go. But I think there's some real merit to rethinking that. That based on the seasonal medical concerns, there may be times we want to take and have more air changes and more fresh air coming in. That would be there would be an energy cost associated with that. But you know, if we're able to reduce absenteeism or to improve, you know, limit the spread of maybe seasonal flu or cold when those things are active, you know, there'd be the savings on the other side would far offset that. We're going to have to continue monitoring the CDC guidelines for future changes, because this won't be the last time we're into this. And you know, they continue to learn about the virus and the spread, so that's something we'll have to look at. And then kind of the last thing looking forward, we really need to consider larger spaces for the nursing suite, negative pressure rooms, in ways that they're really able to meet the needs of the kids, and also consider ways that we can get the kids that may be impacted by whatever it might be, COVID-19 or flu, whatever, how we can easily get them safely out of the building and home, or to you know, to medical services, without it being in a place that's bringing them through the entire building, or you know, having them having to be exposed to other folks or what have you. So I think that's a different way of thinking about the nursing space and how it's accessed. And we're going to be looking at that as some of our renovations to the buildings as we go ahead, is to find a way they can quickly get out of the building. So that is pretty much what I have on my share for screen. There's a couple of things I want to go over, so I'm going to stop sharing. Here we go. I know that one of the things that been asked to me by a couple of board members was around school signs for Wyndham Center Road. So I have in the current version 2 budget cost associated with installing the lighted signs on Wyndham Center Road, so that the Wyndham Center Road would have the 2 signs just like 202, same as 85. So that is in the current version 2 budget. Obviously, this is early in the budget season, so you know, we'll obviously have to look at priorities as we go ahead, but that is in there. And I know, Jan, you had a question around how do we confirm the cleaning of surfaces? It's a bit of a wild card, and I've looked at a couple different options, and what I've found is that it seems to be more of an art than a science, which that worries me a little bit. So what Mike and I really leaned on is focusing on a chemical and a process that really ensures that we get coverage. And one of the things that's nice about the microfiber process is it reduces some of the variability that you might have if you were to spray and wipe. If you're taking a wet microfiber and you're wiping the surfaces, it's really easy to tell where you've been. And then when you clean those surfaces and you drop that microfiber in your dirty bucket, pick up the new one, you're not transferring that to that next surface. So I think the process is where we're at. I'm going to continue to look into that, but I'm just not sold that I have a really good way. I mean, what I can probably find is a lot of data that may not make a lot of sense to us right now. But I'll keep looking to that, see if I can get you a better answer working with our vendors. But so far, the information is not, it's more of an art than an engineering science. And I'm hesitant to get too far into that. And I just want to say a big shout out to the support staff and educational staff that have all worked so hard to make this all happen. The custodians and the maintenance folks have embraced the work. And then, you know, the educational staff has been great to step right with them and keep moving things ahead. And we can't do this with one group. We have to all be together. And I've just been impressed. You know, this is an amazing organization to be part of, and to see all these people pull together in the hardest of times and do what's best for kids is just, it's amazing and uplifting. So I would say a big thank you to everyone in the organization because it's really been awesome. And with that, I'll take any questions people may have.
Scott?
All right, so Bill, thank you very much. Mike, thank you very much for that presentation that answered a lot of my questions. So with that, I only have 2 questions and then 3 comments, if I may, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead.
All right, perfect. So the first question, I'm not sure if this is better directed to you, Bill, or maybe you, Mike, but right now, I checked earlier this morning, there are 525 registered products with the EPA to disinfect for COVID-19. What products are you guys using?
Bill, I'll take that if you'd like.
Okay.
We have 2 vendors. We have Main Paper out of Bangor, Main Paper and Janitorial Supplies, and we have Cleanorama out of Gorham. The first thing that we have is a product called BioShield. That is a Main Paper product that is put on through an aerosol spray through all the buses and the vans and all the rooms and the areas, the classrooms, the gyms, the locker rooms, the playground equipment. And that's every 45 to 60 days that we have them come in and put that product down. That is supposed to have a sealant surface so that the germs won't attach to to the surfaces. We have a product called Envirox H2 Concentrate 117, which is I don't know what the best way is said. It has a claim that it kills 99.9% of common bacteria. It kills 99.9% of influenza, Japan, WBV, HIV-1, all those type of things. We have a second product that is more of a heavy duty disinfectant that's called Navigator 3X. And that's a disinfectant that is a hospital grade disinfectant that we use for when we need to do heavier type of cleaning. It is a 3-minute kill time. It's been tested and confirmed to kill SARS, COVID-2 in 3 minutes. Contact time is 3 times faster than most disinfectants. We have a product called NutriFect disinfectant. We have another product called Delta Ultra deep cleaning chemical. What else do we have?
I think you covered it. Mike. So Scott, the ones that we're using primarily for the COVID-19 are going to be the Navigator and the NutriFect. And those are used when we're cleaning high touch surfaces and work surfaces. And we do use the Envirox for general cleaning and the Delta Ultra for general cleaning, and Delta Mild for general cleaning. But the disinfecting is really done by the Navigator and the NutriFect, and they both have kill claims for COVID-19.
Okay. And just kind of curious, is the SDS posted in areas where everybody knows where that information is, teachers, students, administrators, etc.?
Yeah, the custodians have those and have the SDSs.
Okay. Are we required to inform teachers, students, administrators, etc., when we are applying these products? Did you ever get clarification from Board of Pesticide Control?
Do you know, Micah, can you answer that one? I haven't been involved with that, but
With the pesticide,
Yeah,
the, it started off that if you were going to put any kind of aerosol spray in the buildings at all, you needed a pesticide license. That has been waived for the time being.
okay,
You have to have people who use the sprayer go through an online course to tell you about the safety and chemicals. I am sure that after everything is over, it will go back to a regulated chemical that you need a pesticide license. The one thing that we decided on the BioShield is that we'd use an outside vendor who has licensed applicators to dispense the product, and we didn't have to expose our staff to it.
yeah, I would imagine that was because that was more of an aerosol application than anything, so.
Right.
I wanted to ask that question because it's always amazing to me that we have to send out a listserv notification letting everybody know that we are treating poison ivy at the Wyndham Primary School. Yet we are walking around every 60 days with aerosol cans, waving them around. It's interesting to me. So I was kind of curious as to how the laws and regulations have changed around COVID-19. So my next question would be more for you, Bill.
okay.
You had mentioned when you were talking about the energy at Field Allen, you had used the term field recovery.
Energy recovery.
Energy recovery. What, can you tell me what that means, please?
So what we have in Field Allen, it's the only building. Some of you may remember it's one of the first projects that I did when I was here, because there was no fresh air in Field Allen. So we actually have, it's basically an air-to-air heat exchanger on the roof, so that when we exhaust air outside out of the building, it transfers the heat energy and the moisture to the incoming air. So basically it's preheating the incoming air, and it's doing it about 70% efficiency. So if you do simple math, if you're exhausting air at 70 degrees and the outside air is at 0 degrees, it's going to heat it up to about 45 to 49 degrees. So then you heat the rest of the way with your actually hot water coil. So it's a huge savings in energy, and that we're able to get quite a bit more heat out of the air that we're exhausting. It's also environmentally friendly because now we're not putting that hotter air outside. We're actually keeping the energy in the building. Some of our newer systems we're putting into both Wyndham Primary School and Wyndham Middle School are even more efficient. They're approaching 75% efficient. So we'll be able to retain more of the energy. And the whole idea is to exchange that energy to the incoming air so that we can bring in the fresh air in, not freeze our heating coils, and not spend more money than we have to on energy. So to me it's a great way for us to move forward, is to continue to do that. And I didn't realize how dramatic the savings would be until I actually I looked at the change at Field Allen versus the other buildings, and I have been pushing the fresh air to Field Allen pretty heavy. So it's getting quite a bit. So I'm really pleased with the initial information that I'm seeing, and I'm really hopeful that when we see the unit start up at the middle school and the primary school, we'll see similar results.
Okay, excellent.
But if I can add to that,
please.
BioShield, I do have a write-up here that says BioShield dries to form an invisible, durable layer of biostatic surface protection. It does not contain heavy metals. It is non-toxic, non-leaching, and most environmentally friendly antimicrobial available. Independent tests determined BioShield to be 99.9% effective against mold, mildew, fungus, algae, and bacteria. And the product works to inhibit the growth of microorganisms organisms and assist in the daily cleaning and disinfecting.
Okay. That sounds like a tech sheet more than anything.
It is.
Yeah.
It's right off the top.
That's
Rumor has it, Scott.
finest right there. So then I just wanted to make a couple of comments, if I may, Madam Chair. So we were walking through last night over at Jordan Small, and we had a facilities meeting, and Bill was kind enough to show us one of the BenQs. I gotta say, if you folks are not aware or are familiar with these BenQs, these are fantastic pieces of technology. I feel like I am forever eating crow when it comes to technology with this school district. I will gladly eat crow. But these BenQs are pretty cool. So if you're not familiar with them, I highly recommend you just do a quick Yahoo search and take a look at that and see. Maybe go on Rumble and take a look and see what BenQ is all about. They're pretty cool. Bill, you had mentioned on a lighter note, you were having your forester come in to take a look and tag some trees. I want to let you know that I happen to know of one. So if you if you
That's
would
right. He might be on this actual Zoom meeting, right?
Right. So I'd be
Oh,
more than
cool.
happy to come in and mark some oaks and beeches and maples
Great.
and
Let's do that. Let's have a walk. That would be awesome. I would love to do that, Scott.
yeah, no, that would be, I would actually very much enjoy that. So well, I'll shoot you an email tomorrow at some point. We'll see if we can't try and take a look, because I wouldn't mind checking out that walking trail myself.
Yeah, we have to get Christine B up there. She's promised me she'd come walk it, so we'll have to have her join us.
Oh, perfect.
And
Excellent.
it would be like going to school for me, because I would learn, because I am not great at that skill of identifying trees. So I look forward to the lesson.
Right.
That was the
Excellent.
last time we walked it, it was you and me going tree, another tree, bigger tree.
So, and then the last thing that I wanted to point out is that I think that this district is very fortunate to have somebody like Bill Hansen as the director of facilities. As we were kind of going through our meeting last night, one of the subtle things that I happened to notice was that Bill knows, he seems like he knows all of his custodians by first name. And he always makes a point as he's walking the halls to say hello, ask how they're doing, ask how their family's doing. So for that, I want to thank you, Bill, for, really taking your position to the next level and acknowledging the people that really kind of get it done for you, the ground workers, if you will. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. It didn't go unnoticed. So thank you.
That's very kind, Scott. Thank you very much. They're really, truly wonderful people, and I'm blessed to have a great staff. And they literally every day work so hard to make sure these schools are ready for the kids and the staff to come back. And they take it so seriously, and they're just wonderful people. And I've enjoyed getting to know them. I've learned a lot from each one of them, which has been kind of fun.
That's great. So for that, Madam Chair, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Christina.
Bill, I just wanted to ask, in the future, when you have some more of those energy recovery systems in a budget, at that time, I'm going to want to know how many, like an estimate of how many years it would take to recoup that cost. Obviously, that's going to be dependent on like energy prices at the time. But now that you've seen one and what the kind of success that it has, I just know I'm gonna want to see that. It'll be an easier sell when we get to that point. So just putting that out there.
Yeah, and I'd like to add a comment to that. So one of the couple things is that I think the financial numbers, we need to look at them real hard, but there's another couple other components to this. Without energy recovery, I may be limited into what I actually can produce for fresh air into the space because it becomes so cold, I freeze a coil, which becomes very expensive and challenging. The other thing that I've noticed with this, and I mean this most respectfully to everyone, and Becca, you can jump in, is that teachers really like their classroom temperatures to be consistent. And I don't blame them because I like my office to be consistent too. And when it becomes 15 below zero outside and I'm trying to heat that 15 below zero up to 70 degrees, it's really hard and bring fresh air in. If I can hit that 15 below zero and make it 40 degrees, now I'm only heating 30 degrees as opposed to trying to heat 85 degrees. So there's a creature component of this, which I don't know how you put a value on that because it's really big. Now, used to be the way you address that is you throw all sorts of heat to it. You have primary and secondary stage heating, and you just put all sorts of energy against it, and that's how you'd solve the problem. I don't think that's the way we want to go in the future. So I'd love to get into the numbers and look at the financials and see where it's at, but it's really a pretty broad topic when you look at it because it provides capabilities that you won't have if you didn't have that. So what's the value of that? And then there's really, I found as creature comfort, the more consistent I can maintain the temperatures and avoid swings up and down, it provides a much better environment. And one of the things that I have as a goal as a facilities director, and I don't always hit this, but is really to operate our buildings and building systems in a way that occupants become unaware of these systems. In short, provide an environment that allows the non-facility staff to focus solely on educational deliverables. And that value, the value to that, if the projector is not working, the lights aren't working, it's cold or hot or drafty or noisy, we've missed the mark. And we want to have our teaching staff who work so hard come into a space and have it really work the way it's supposed to. And they get that it's a building. So I would love to get to the numbers with you. I look at that, but it's a complicated factor in that it does provide some other benefits that are going to be hard to put a number on.
Thank you.
I had a question, and that was about the teachers leaving their doors open. So so there's virus security, fire security, and security. So how do we just manage the one that's the loudest?
The idea is to have the door open when kids are transitioning into class and then close it.
Okay.
That is the idea. One of the things that I'm moving towards, I'm finding to be real successful, is to move towards the hold open magnets on the classroom doors, so that in event of a lockdown or crisis, they close automatically. I've done that successfully in one building, happens to be Field Allen as well, and it seems to work really well because it provides the teachers the opportunity to have their doors open when they want them, and yet they close when they need to. So it's kind of been a nice win. It isn't without a cost because now it's electrical and magnets and what have you on the door. So the idea that we talk about to minimize the door touching is that it open upon arrival to the class and then you close it. And other thing I'll say is that the big change we've had in a district from a safety security standpoint is our staff are all much more situationally aware. So they're listening and hearing. If something doesn't sound right, I have every confidence that they're going to start to make some changes, whether it be to close the door or to contact someone. It's just been a real change in the way that we do our work. So I think that's pretty good. Now, as far as like exterior doors go, those are things we try not to leave open for that very reason, because that provides unabated access into the building. So that's not something we want to do. Hope I answered your question.
You did. I would like to say that when you don't know what the temperature is going to be inside your classroom and you prepare for 30 days, it's always been cold, and you go in there with long sleeves and a big sweater and everything, and then it's 90 in there, that causes problems. So I want to reiterate the fact that keeping it on an even keel is what we want. I also want to say on behalf of the board that we really do appreciate all that you're doing, and we please convey that to the custodians and to the grounds people, because it's wonderful what you're doing, and we really appreciate keeping our children safe so that they can ignore the fact that they're in a facility, that everything is taken care of. So I appreciate it. And
Jenny,
thank you too, Mike.
Jenny, if I also just can jump in for a second, just again, want to thank Bill and Mike and all of the custodial staff across the district. I mean, we are maintaining as a district, or they are maintaining about 583,000 square feet, which is the equivalent of 2,000 square foot homes roughly, and cleaning that and all the surfaces every single night and every single day, and making sure that they're safe and ready for schools to open. And so, you know, with over $150 million that's been invested by both communities in our facilities, just want to thank Bill and the ground staff, the custodial staff, and Mike for all that they do to keep these places up and running and beautiful, because it is never ending. All of us who are homeowners know that it's never ending. When your home then becomes between 580 and 600,000 square feet, there's a lot of potential for issues, and just this level of professionalism and the level of professionalism from all the custodians and support staff, really just want to say thank you.
Ditto.
Can I ask real quick, Jenny, real quick question?
I doubt it's quick, but yes.
It's always quick. What are you talking about? Bill, how many custodians do you have on staff currently?
So the entire facility staff is I think it's 42.75, roughly plus or minus, and I may be off by one. So of that, I have 5 head custodians. You've got 4 ground staff, supposed to be 2 maintenance, and the balance are all the rest custodian. And there's a mic in there too, so you got to add that in that. So it's right around plus or minus, or right around 30 custodians, plus or minus.
Okay.
And that's off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I don't have the number in front of me. I could be more exact, but it's pretty close to where we're at.
Now, something last minute wheels turning.
Thank you. Is that it from everybody? Okay. Thanks again.
Well, thank you. It was great to be here.
Thank you. Scott, could I have a motion, please?
Okay, sorry. A motion to continue the hybrid model AB schedule until such a point and time the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention CDC guidelines and the Maine Department of Education guidelines allow for the full opening of school.
Second.
Who seconded? Christina? It's been moved and seconded. Any public comment? Becca?
I guess it's more of a question, Janie. I'm Rebecca Cole. I live here in Wyndham. I teach first grade at Wyndham Primary School, and I'm the NEA director for the state of Maine. My question is, leaving the language more open like that, how much notice would staff and the community have if there were a shift in the instructional models being provided?
Mr. Howell, do you have any?
Yeah, I'd gladly take that. So I'll start first of all with a transition from a hybrid schedule to a full remote schedule would be case or condition specific, and actually could be, as we found last week with having to close down a couple of buildings, one for a day and one for a week, maybe short half-day notice, Rebecca. For a transition from a yellow to a green full opening, I would guess that we would have several weeks notice before that happened. We would have a heads up about CDC guidelines changes, vaccine rules changes, other things changes, so that we would have plenty of time for people to make adjustments.
All right, board discussion? Nobody?
Scott has his hand
Ah,
raised.
there you go, Scott. Well, you moved. Why do they move?
So I had voiced a little bit of concern about this on the last board meeting, and I'm going to vote nay on this one. And the reason why I'm going to vote nay on this one is partially to Ms. Cole's comment just now, but also I'm not prepared to just, as I said at the last board meeting, rubber stamp this. I am not prepared to let all of the administration, to let the town know that we're waving the white flag. I see a lot of good results coming out of the vaccination. As a matter of fact, I believe that I just saw, I think it was late last week or early this week, that teachers are going to start getting vaccinated. The state is hoping to vaccinate teachers in April, March and April. And to Ms. Cochran's point last week, I don't want to give these kids the sense, the feeling that we have just kind of mailed it in and said, you know what, it is what it is. I'm not prepared to do that. And I'm hoping that there are other board members on here that are not prepared to do that as well. I want to give our community and our students hope that we are going to get through this, and we are going to be able to bring everybody back to the school district in full session. As I was walking through Jordan Small yesterday, I saw a bulletin board out by the art room, and it stopped me in my tracks, because on one side of the bulletin board, it said, "We miss you." And there was an arrow pointing to Core Heart B. And then on Core Heart B side, it said, "We miss you." And there was an arrow pointing to Core Heart A. And these kids are not seeing each other from different core hearts, and they're missing each other. And I don't understand what the difference is if we can all conjugate with masks on in the grocery store or in Walmart or at Sunday River, where my kid goes skiing in a different program every single week. I feel like we are just rubber stamping this, and we're just kind of waving a white flag, if you will. I'm not prepared to do that. And I'm hoping that there are other board members that are not prepared to do that as well. So I would prefer that we mark the calendar as remote learning up until March. That is what I would like to see, because at that point, we still have another opportunity to vote. I understand the way the wording is on the agenda, or until the CDC lets us know, but it just gives people the sense that we're kind of mailing it in, and I'm not cool with that. So I'm going to vote no. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Scott. Anna?
I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. The hope that I'm choosing to provide our district with is the hope that they have a board that listens to the science and listens to the recommendations being made by those that are experts in their field. This motion, the way it's written, allows us to come back in full person in 2 weeks if the CDC and the state say that that's what's acceptable and safe right now. I have never once mailed in anything when it comes to this board and the district, and to suggest otherwise is very upsetting. I choose to present hope to the community that we're following the science and the facts and the recommendations. Evidence has shown when we follow what we're asked to do, like our schools do every single day, we're successful. And that would be the one place where everybody is consistently following those recommendations every single day, and we're successful every single day. So I will wholeheartedly vote in favor of this.
Anyone else? Marge?
I don't have my hand up.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Looked like you needed to talk.
No, I'm just waiting to vote.
Okay.
I suddenly forgot how to raise my hands. I enjoyed
Did
it.
you? Okay. Pete?
I just want to say that I'm pleased with the change in the language of the motion, and I think it gives us the most flexibility going forward. And that's really all I wanted coming out of last week was we've eliminated a hard and fast date, and we've given ourselves some flexibility so that we can leave it to the experts, we can follow the recommendations, and we can, moving forward, do what's in the best interest of the district and the students.
Thanks, Pete. Kate Levier?
Took me a little bit to find how to raise my hand too. I did want to speak up because I supported what Scott mentioned a few weeks ago and did not want to put like a June, whatever the day is, end of school year stamp on that. And I still fully support not doing that. I think I'm okay with this because of the wording and with the we're kind of, our hands are tied to what the Department of Education is telling us, what the CDC is telling us. And I feel like this gives us still some leeway should it be a district decision still. I correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I feel like it does. So I fully supported you last week or the week before, Scott. I don't want you to think I'm jumping ship because it was more if it said like till the end of the school year. I think this does give us the option to open. And man, I hope we do. I really do, because I think I probably would have had tears in my eyes had I seen that sign at Jordan Small, because it's so true. So thanks.
Marge?
And I did see on the news just before I came up here that they have moved teachers out to April and May, Scott, sorry. Being one of the group who's supposed to be getting shots now, we probably will be lucky if we get it in the next 2 months, because there is a multitude of elderly and not a multitude of vaccines out there. I think keeping it the way we have it gives everybody a little more hope that if things change, we can come back. Versus you watch the news and the news just moves things further and further out. So I think this is a positive wording and gives people hope that, okay, maybe we can come back sooner than what the news keeps broadcasting. So I will vote yes, too.
Anyone else? I want to say that the reason the motion is worded the way it is in large part due to Molly and Molly's comments at the last meeting, and taking into consideration the need for hope. We want to do that. We have to follow the CDC regulations anyway. I mean, that's a given. But if we can come back earlier, say February is suddenly everybody is virus free, then we could do that with this motion, the way it's written. Okay, are we ready to vote? Oh, Scott's raising his hand again.
I will say on a positive note, the main flu epidemic is down by 86%. So that's a great sign.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
No
I was at the
there.
pulmonologist and she said that this is the there's seasonal flu is down, way down, and all kinds of respiratory illnesses are down. Wearing a mask has its benefits. Okay, if we're ready to vote, all those in favor of the motion as read?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jenny Cummings,
Aye.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Nay.
Christina Small.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Could I have a motion on the report of the secretary, Pete? You have to be unmute.
Thought I did. All right. I move to approve the minutes of the January 6, 2021 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Jenny. Any public comment on the motion? Any board discussion? In board discussion, I would like to say that we are going to have the voting on the secretary's report every week now, because we decided that we wanted, instead of grouping them together, we wanted to have them closer to when we just had the meeting. So as a reflection of that. So all those in favor?
And I'll go backwards this time. So Mrs. Bricks, you don't have to vote first every time.
I was waiting.
Christina Small,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
Kate Levier,
I had to think what order I was in now. Yes.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Jenny Cummings,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
and Kate Bricks.
Yay.
Okay, next is committee reports. I will say, just one second, I will say that we are also doing committee reports and board roundtable at this time. We're going to have it every week to make it more immediate. So are there any committee reports?
The Finance Committee just met prior to this meeting. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we would be. The one topic on the agenda was, again, discussing the cost sharing formula. And so this was more of a information session for the committee, just to go through the backgrounds, go through the calculations of how it's been formulated up until this time, and just taking some action steps, which the next step will be arranging for a meeting, or at least extending the invitation to town representatives to get feedback or any concerns or ideas or suggestions as we move forward with this.
Thanks, Pete. Mrs. Bricks?
Thank you. The policy committee met on the 12th, and we reviewed a first draft of GBA, which is earned paid leave, which is a result of a new law the legislators put into effect, which is actually 26 MRSA 627. We talked a lot about it. We realized we needed a little bit more information, and so we are awaiting legal counsel, and we'll be reconvening on the 28th.
Thank you. Scott?
So to Ms. Brick's point, this legislation has been coming down the pipeline since I think it was March or April is when this legislation was first introduced. The introduction of this legislation is completely different than what was actually passed. So I'll be interested to hear how the lawyers had interpreted it. So I believe that'll probably, I did send Chris an email to that point, and I'm kind of curious about that, how that whole thing is going to play out. So thank you. As far as facilities, We met last night, and we met for the purpose of reviewing revolving renovation projects that we had all voted to have Bill send the application. And we got some architectural drafts back and some rough numbers, and the architectural drafts are phenomenal. The numbers, not so much. They are a bit higher than we had all anticipated. So the way the bid process works is you ask somebody to bid on it, they submit, and then you start your negotiation process. So there will be more coming on that, but the initial numbers as far as the Jordan Small Middle School project itself is significantly higher than we had anticipated. So we may have to revisit whether or not we want to move forward with that revolving renovation project or not. So more to come. Unless I miss anything, Chris?
No, I mean, just to mention that there are projects that are going all across the district right now through revolving renovation, including ADA access to Wyndham Middle School, to do the RES office upgrade, asbestos removal at Jordan Small Middle School, and voice evac and other upgrades to security systems in all the buildings across the district. Just on top of the 586,000 square feet that Bill is currently overseeing in COVID response, is also the bidding out and the architectural pieces for all these. And so we did have a chance to meet with the architects. I think that was 11 this morning for the RES project, and we'll be able to bring that for some updates to facilities as well.
Thank you.
Great. Marge?
We did have a meeting with the two technical schools, PATHS and WRVC. I think it's the shortest meeting I've ever been to. I don't know if Zoom is condensing things. Poor Chris, he left for a minute, and by the time he came back, the meeting was just about over. When we get the minutes, I will send them out. I guess the gist of it is there is not a lot about budget discussed now, because neither one of them are asking for any Part 2 capital expenditures. And we know their other money is coming through the state now. So it's not coming through us. They get it directly. But a couple of things that were mentioned at both of them was the fact that they feel things are going very well with the students that are coming to their schools from the sending schools. They have had, which was, I thought, kind of funny, they made a comment on this, they have had no discipline issues at all. They said that is like really great. They feel like the students are really connected, and they've also been able to work on getting them their certifications where needed. And it wasn't much more. Can you think of anything, Chris? I think that was a lot of it, but yeah. Go ahead.
And also the introduction of a student rep at Westbrook.
Right. Which we did not get to see her. What happened was the meetings, like I told you, they moved along so quickly, and she's a student. So by the time the committee was ready to hear her, she was not really due to be free from her class to be able to come to it, but they are going to add a student to our meetings, actually. So that's great.
Okay, the only thing I have to add is that curriculum, we are meeting Friday. So now let's go to board roundtable. Anybody have anything? I want to say that we got an email about the podcast, the Jordan Small Middle School podcast. And I was able to listen to a couple, and they are fabulous, just fabulous. Just listening to the kids interview each other about what's the good part about COVID, what's the bad part about this year. That I was very, it touched me deeply. So if you have a chance, I highly recommend that you do that, that you listen to them. Marge?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that because I did. I listened to one of them, and it just struck me that how mature they are, the way they run the whole thing, the way they speak. I mean, I was like super duper impressed, and only because I think all of the board gets so when you get those emails, just click on it, even if you only listen to a part of it. And I think there, Christine, you said it's another school doing it, or Christine said?
Jordan, sorry, Wyndham Middle School. Joyce Babbitt is also putting on a podcast with student voices. They're excellent.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Scott?
So I was curious, maybe a topic for another meeting. I was hoping that we might be able to maybe do a board update on pre-K and how that whole process is playing out. I don't think I've heard anything for a little while, and I'm sure that there is some information that a lot of us would love to hear. So I was hoping that maybe in leadership, you might be able to talk on that and maybe make that an agenda item for an upcoming meeting.
Sure.
Thank you.
Marge?
In line, following up on what Scott just said, at one point in time, we were tracking, or we would hear updates on the kids that went to Jumpstart, the summer programs, on the students through the grades. And then, but we haven't heard that in a while. And I think we're still tracking them. I don't know, Christine Heslow, I think, was doing that. So if we could probably add that in at some point, that would be great. Thank you.
Speaking personally, I think that's a difficult thing in this year of COVID.
True.
But it's good information to have.
Well, maybe we can put it in the back burner or on the packing lot. Or
definitely.
Something.
It's something that's on my radar anyway. Are we all set? Okay. Could I have a motion? Oh, sorry. Superintendent's report. There you go.
I'll go ahead and just share a few things, and it has been a couple of very, very busy weeks in RSU 14. So first of all, start out, the reason I missed part of the Westbrook vocational meeting is Senator King was kind enough to Zoom in with one of our 4th grade classes who was reading Lost in a Mountain in Maine and do a chapter read. And so anytime that you have a US Senator who's present and volunteering his time, so we were very thankful that he was willing to do that and jump in and answer some of the kids' questions. Great that he had that comment, and also great that think about for the state of Maine, the technology that we have, the movement that was started by Senator King, and which was then Governor King during his terms, really have made an impact on all of us. Also had a chance, Rick Nickerson and I have been talking about chorus and how we best advocate, but he gave me a copy of a new book, which is 88 More Ways Music Can Change Your Life. And one of those 88 ways is actually Dr. Nickerson. And there's a great story in there about one of the chamber singer tours, probably 10 years ago, where students from Wyndham High School had a chance to sing for his middle school music teacher. And I know he shared that at a couple of the concerts, but this just came out, was just published. And so just had a chance to read his little segment in there of the 88, and but some great things and some great recognition of some things that students from Wyndham and Raymond have done over the years. Probably all of you are like me, where your phone just kind of blings up with all the different news feeds. I had sent out a quick memo to the board this afternoon about possible proposed changes by Maine CDC and how they look at high school athletics within a yellow designation. And so while we've been in this meeting, I've received official notification that the CDC, Maine CDC has changed their stance right now on practices and how practices and student conditioning can happen if a school is designated as yellow. And what they have done is they've left that up to local school districts based on current conditions, whether or not to move forward with practices. Cumberland County superintendents and athletic directors have had quite a few conversations about athletics over the last couple of weeks. One thing we're noticing is that it is having an impact on our students with everything being swapped from being a in-person following our CDC and our school safety guidelines to then Zooms and other things, that there's definitely been a loss for our students with that. The other thing we're noticing is that in the absence of school-sponsored sports and school sports that are able to follow all guidelines, there are many amateur programs that are no longer under guidelines. They are under guidelines, but whether or not they're following them, we don't have the ability to look over that, that are looking to capture our students and then pull them away to fill in this void and this vacuum. So we did get the green light to go forward with practices as long as that we feel that they're safe. If any board members have had a chance to visit any of the indoor practices, I know I've been to a couple. When you have 15 students in the Windham High School gym, which is triple court size, there's quite a bit of social distancing space and other things. And we feel like we can run practices quite safely and be able to follow the guidelines and keep our kids engaged. So I've not had a chance to meet with Rich and to kind of go over how we're going to move that forward. It's still unclear whether or not there'll be a competition season for our students with schools playing against schools, and also looking at whether or not we'll be do anything beyond some of the cross groupings of students. So more to come on that as we go forward. Marge, you have a hand up?
Yeah, you made a comment, if anybody had been in the school to see that. I haven't been near any of the schools ever since it started because I didn't think we were allowed inside. So are you saying we could, and how would we arrange it? Do we call you for an escort?
Best thing if you want to see a practice would be to arrange it through me. And you're absolutely right, Marge, and good point. We have closed our buildings to outside people, but if anyone's interested in seeing what a practice looks like in a COVID-friendly way, I'd be more than happy to show that to them. I had the opportunity because one night I had spent far too much time in this office and I wanted to see kids. So I went over and spent some time with some boys JV team and then a girls JV team, and just to reconnect. Scott.
Thank you, Chris. I just wanted to, comment on what you had just mentioned. It seems like the hypocrisy of it all, as far as COVID-19 and sports and school sanctioned sports, is just, I can't seem to wrap my head around it because, I have a daughter who participates in skiing. She goes up to Sunday River every single weekend. She participates in Gould racing. Ski Patrol is down there at every single lift line, walking down, making sure that everybody has got their masks on. People are not, people are socially distancing. I really want to see sports come back to the schools. And I had sent an email earlier. I fully support schools supporting sports. And I don't see why it is that you can have private organizations that can hold sports, but schools cannot. I can't seem to wrap my head around that. Especially when there are COVID protocols in place for all sports. I understand that there are certain sports that, you're going to have a hard time with those protocols, and you might not be able to allow those sports I get that. But there's certain sports that I don't understand. And when I go up to Shawnee Peak on Tuesday nights and on Thursday nights, my God, I must count at least 55, 60 Wyndham RSU 14 kids that are up at that mountain skiing with their buddies and their friends, and they're having a good time. And it's an outlet for these kids. And so I don't know, my soapbox, I guess, as Miss Briggs would say. So that's it. That's all I got.
No, I also want to thank Rich Drummond and Carrie Jolly, the high school nurse, and our school athletic trainer, Casey, and just what they've done to make sure that protocols are in place and that we're following. I know it was a bit of a blow to everyone back in, it would have been middle of December when things went yellow and things worked and stopped. Our coaches have done a great job staying connected with kids, but losing some of that face-to-face time. And I think there was an article the Press Herald ran, I don't know if that was Monday or Tuesday of this week, Scott, exactly what you're talking about with leagues being able to run, but yet school things not being able to run and kids just kind of being left in limbo in between. And so to be able to have this opportunity, and I think it also goes along with the extent that CDC is looking at guidance and reevaluating to make sure that it's still relevant, that they had the opportunity to do this. And so obviously if a school has to go remote, then practices and other things would stop. But again, I'm not clear myself on what would happen with competitions, because if you remember in the original proposal, after January 11th, there was going to be school competitions, and we're on January 20. And we still don't have schools in Cumberland County, whereas the rest of the state, Hoop and Green, have been in practices and doing things all along. So I will update the board as soon as I have more information on that as far as competitions go. And lastly, actually two more things. One is, and I think maybe Mike in reference this tonight, but January 2020 was the first documented case of COVID-19 in the United States. So this marks the 1-year anniversary. And so it's interesting that we're talking about calendar and COVID protocols and how far we've come. And that was an individual in Washington State who had just arrived from Wuhan, China, and started to show symptoms. There's actually a great NPR radio broadcast and story on it this morning. For RSU 14, we've had 54 cases to date. And over that period of time, we have quarantined over 600 individuals, close to 500 students and 100 staff, which, for our school nurses, for the contact tracing and all the things that they've done, to our staff members who in some cases have had to change modes overnight, as far as going from being an in-person or a hybrid to going fully remote in a short period of time, and working from remote or working from home to then try to meet class needs. I'm in absolute awe of all that they've done to continue to support the kids of RSU 14. So I just look at where we have come in this past year, but also I look forward to next year. And Christine and I had a chance last week to sit in with one of the state epidemiologists and kind of hear like a forecast of the future. One of the things that she was predicting is that we have a good opportunity or good chance of being fully in person with everybody in the fall, probably with masks, but that we will have that opportunity to do that. Other things that were discussed are some possible changes to quarantine coming in the future, so that if an individual has been vaccinated, they won't have to quarantine. And the possibility also of individuals who have to quarantine to being given the opportunity to be able to test out of that quarantine. Another thing which I thought was interesting, because we talked so much about cleaning and cleaning products tonight, one thing that she did mention that they've learned throughout this is that the heavy emphasis on cleaning and cleaning products that were done at the beginning of COVID, that they're seeing things change. And really the focus being now on exactly what Bill and Mike just talked about, which is airborne, person-to-person transmission, and not necessarily seeing that transmission from hard surfaces and other things that are happening in classrooms. And so some possibilities moving forward into the fall with some of the changes to those cleaning protocols. I think the other thing that struck me that I had a chance to hear is that school-based students and staff, if you compare them to the general community, the actual positivity rate is 1/4 of what it is in the general community for anyone who's attached to a school. So again, proving that schools are safe places, that they're following the protocols. And I am proud of all that our teaching staff, our support staff, our administrators, and honestly, you as a board for how you've looked at how do we best support our students through all of this, because the key word at the beginning of the year, I think we used was nimble. And I think our staff have really shown, and it's hard being nimble, but really have maintained that student focus. Actually 2 things I want to share. One, they're both real quick. January 27th, the last public event we had was a strategic plan kickoff on March 5th. So last time we had a bunch of people together as a district. And so that strategic planning committee has been meeting. They are going to be holding a follow-up session via Zoom, not in person, with the individuals who were present for that to give some feedback, or to get some feedback and to give an update on work that's done so far. And also just want to mention, there's a winter link, which will be coming out, I think it's this Friday, and highlights all the wonderful things that people have done in RSU 14. It's probably one of the longer links that we put out in a while over this past semester. And so the community can look for that. I think it's coming in this Friday's edition of the Wyndham Eagle. So look for it in a newspaper. Don't immediately chuck it when it comes to your mailbox. Look for the insert.
Thank you. All right, now, Anna, could I have a motion? You
Not
there?
gonna yell at me this time. You scared me last time. I move to enter into executive session to discuss RSU 14 contract negotiations with the RSU 14 Board of Directors pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405 6D and not return to regular meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Anna, seconded by Scott. All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jenny Cummings,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Pete Hensler,
Aye.
Anna Keeney,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean,
Yay.
and Christina Small.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. See you. Flip flop.